Legend has it that in the great storm of 1781, John Jameson lost a barrel of his beloved smooth whiskey. He said goodbye to the crew and went in after it. In hindsight, that probably wasn't a good idea. Weeks later, a funeral was held. All of Ireland was in attendance, including John Jameson and his smooth-tasting whiskey.
Bebida, senhor? Vodka, bitter, vermute ou direito. Curto e puro. Bebidas, whisky, vodka, bitter.
Odiate longo com água mineral.
2. Odiate longo com clube soda. Bebidas, vodka, bitter,
Odiate on the rocks.
Odiate, senhor.
Old Date não é apenas o melhor whisky, é a melhor bebida.
¡Gaitero! ¡Para ya! Esta es una historia real, sobre un joven llamado John. Un sencillo granjero, pero había algo especial en él. Un brillo en sus ojos, fuego en las entrañas, alas en sus pies. Y un día emprendió su camino. Este camino comenzó al morir su padre. Corría el 1819 y tenía solo 14 años. Terapia de luto. Era una época en la que se enviaba a los chicos a los campos, a las fábricas, a las minas. Tiempos difíciles. Pero el joven John era tan listo que tuvo suerte. Vendió la granja de su padre, donde había nacido y crecido. Y con el dinero, abrió una tienda. Una gran responsabilidad para aquel chaval. Su propia tienda en Kilmarnock, con su nombre en la puerta. John Walker, o Johnny, como se le conoce hoy. Por aquel entonces, todas las tiendas solo ofrecían maltas de una sola destilería, que solía ser de dudosa calidad. A John eso no le convencía. Empezó a mezclar distintos tipos de malta y así podría ofrecer a sus clientes un producto de calidad e inimitable. De repente, ese arte casero se convirtió en una oportunidad de negocio y además muy rentable. Y como no hay nada como una oportunidad de negocio para dar alas al corazón de un escocés, pronto se convertiría en una industria llena de ambiciosos y entusiastas destiladores. John fue prosperando y pronto sus hijos, Robert y Alexander, se unieron al camino. Los Walker se convirtieron en el nombre más importante de una industria floreciente. Eran imparables. Y en una arriesgada OPA hostil a los siglos XIX, compraron la célebre destilería de Cardew hasta el último detalle, asegurándose así la provisión de un sedoso single malt. Y lo que es más importante, que ningún otro destilador pudiese apropiarse de él. La ambición del joven Alexander, maestro mezclador más conocido de Escocia, no se quedaba en eso. No. Convenció a los capitanes de barco de Glasgow para que hiciesen de comerciales para él y llevasen el whisky con el nombre de su padre por todo el mundo. En 1860 creó la botella cuadrada, que tenía una etiqueta con una inclinación de exactamente 24 grados. Menuda tontería, pensaréis, pero estáis equivocados. Gracias a la forma cuadrada se rompían menos botellas y entraban más. La etiqueta en diagonal permitía que las letras fuesen más grandes, y juntas forman la inconfundible presencia de Johnny Walker en cualquier estante. La botella ya era un icono, y poco después el delicioso líquido que contenía se demandaba y se consumía en todo el mundo. Todo un personaje, Alexander Walker, maestro del arte de la mezcla, ambicioso, fiel a sí mismo. Señor Walker. Los nietos de John, George y Alexander II se unieron al camino, y con ellos la marca se adentró en el siglo XX. En 1909 crearon las icónicas Red Label y Black Label, y persuadieron a Tom Brown, el mejor ilustrador joven de la época, para que en una servilleta, durante una comida de trabajo, dibujase al caminante. De un plumazo, el tendero victoriano se transformó en un moderno dandy. En 1920, Johnny Walker se consumía en 120 países y siguió caminando en la publicidad a lo largo de los siguientes 50 años, incorporándose al entramado de la cultura global. Desde las tenebrosas cimas de varias guerras hasta los lujosos palacios de la aristocracia, inmortalizado por leyendas de la pantalla, celebrado por cineastas, cantantes, compositores, novelistas, codo con los grandes deportistas de la época. Ganó innumerables premios internacionales por su calidad e incluso le fue concedido el sello real de manos del rey Jorge V. Y desde entonces no han parado. John y su familia nunca se podrían haber imaginado semejante éxito. A finales del siglo XX a las conocidas Red Label y Black Label se le unieron Green Label, Gold Label y la más gloriosa de todas, Johnny Walker Blue Label. A los principios del siglo XXI, Johnny Walker no solo era la mayor marca de whisky del mundo, sino también un símbolo de progreso personal. El mantra de la marca, Keep Walking, ha sido adoptado por manifestantes a favor de la democracia y por oradores parlamentarios en todo el mundo. ¿Qué pensaría aquel tendero victoriano criado en una granja de todo esto? Le hubiera encantado. Sería un tendero victoriano criado en una granja, pero tanto él como sus sucesores demostraron tener una fogosa ambición, unida a una gran habilidad e inteligencia. 200 años más tarde, Johnny Walker sigue caminando y no muestra ningún signo de que vaya a detenerse.
Black Label and ginger, enjoyed around the world, but made 6,000 miles away, in Scotland. A place of striking and dynamic landscapes, and innovative, talented people. Just like John Walker, the humble grocer and the founder of Johnnie Walker's Scotch whisky. For 2 centuries, handmade with heart and soul.
I did my bit to get that whisky to where it is now.
By craftsmen and women from Scotland's 4 corners.
The care and attention, the effort everyone puts into whisky.
When you see Johnnie Walker all around the world, it makes us so, so proud.
Under lock and key, let's take an extraordinary stroll through the Johnnie Walker archive.
Stock books, blending records, we've got ledgers to do with shipping and sales records, everything that you can imagine that records the history of Johnnie Walker. It's a really priceless asset that we have. Our story starts with John Walker. He was actually born in 1805 and he established the grocery shop in Kilmarnock in 1820, and that's where he sold blended Scotch whisky. Alexander took over from his father in 1857. One of the big things that he did was start the export trade. So you can imagine ports like Glasgow at that time were really booming, and Alexander saw the opportunity to use those trading routes to get Johnnie Walker shipped around the world. So here we have one of the original blending books for Johnnie Walker, and it lists all the blends that they were creating at that time. So to have these items in the archive is a really special thing.
Since these early blends, single malts from Scotland's 4 corners have provided the rich character for Johnnie Walker Black Label.
It's steeped in history and heritage. We're very lucky to have the archives where we can look back and see how Johnnie Walker Black Label has been blended over the decades, over the generations. And it's really gratifying to see that how we make it today is extremely close to how it's been made in the past.
We know that we're taking these 30 or more different distilleries from across Scotland and just balancing all those beautiful flavours.
Including Speyside classics like Cardew.
If you think about orchard fruits, your fresh apples, pears, grape skins.
Toasted malty cereal type of notes in there.
In the Highlands, Diageo's most northerly distillery, Clynelish.
The great thing about Clynelish is the lovely soft fruit flavours.
Freshly cut green apples coming through.
It also has the wonderful waxy flavour.
Islay's Kalila adds a key flavour.
In many ways, this is a classic Islay whisky, full of smoke.
And from the lowlands, Glenkinchie.
You get these top notes of delicate fruit, there's hints of heather there as well.
Richer, slightly heavier character.
Each of the single malts in Johnnie Walker Black Label brings its own flavour and character. This depends on a number of different factors, including the shape and style of the still, the fermentation, and whether or not we use malt that's been dried using peat. The process of creating single malt whisky is largely unchanged, and it all starts with this, the vital ingredient: best quality malt.
Whisky is made from 4 ingredients: water, yeast, malted barley, and talented people. First, the barley is ground up and mixed with hot water in the mash tun. The starch in the barley slowly turns to sugar, leaving a sweet liquid called wort. The wort is transferred to the washbacks, huge wooden barrels where yeast is added. As the yeast consumes the sugars, alcohol is produced, creating a weak beer called wash.
It's just a nice feeling knowing that you're making something that somebody's going to enjoy worldwide. It's almost mind-boggling how far and wide that is.
Then it's on to the copper stills.
We are a single malt distillery. We take great pride in our place. The whole history that's associated with Scotch whisky, and more so with Johnnie Walker. Within Kalila, we know one of the major parts of that bottle is actually made here, and you are part of that whole system. I mean, it really goes to the whole core of who we are and what we're all about. It just filled me with, yeah, chuffed.
The alcohol and all the wonderful flavours in the wash have a lower boiling point than water, passing over the top of the stills as vapour and condensing as liquid.
And we get to make these things. Beautiful copper works it up, but the way you make them has been the same for 400 years. We've been here since 1790.
The craftsmen that we work with at our coppersmiths are essential to distilling. They know each of our stills at all of our individual sites intrinsically.
Obviously, you just assume whiskey gets made, you don't know how it gets made or what goes into it. I basically make the things that make whiskey to actually be a part of that. It's quite a big thing for me.
The spirit that we get from each of our distilleries is called new make spirit. We spend a lot of time creating the perfect balance of flavours at each of our distilleries, and this is then complemented by what happens within the casks during maturation.
What we do here is repair, rejuvenate and rebuild casks for the whisky industry, our industry. In the barrel park here you can see there's 350,000 casks approximately. I'm a third generation cooper and I love being able to come into work in the morning and pass my craft on to apprentices.
And I know that when that product goes out the door that there's thousands or millions of people around the world enjoying a product that's been made in my barrel.
Without that care, without that knowledge, we wouldn't be able to make the malt whisky, the grain whisky that we use to make Johnnie Walker Black Label.
So the Walkers weren't only pioneers in terms of blending Scotch whisky, they were real innovators. A big part of the story is the huge expansion in the export trade by 1920. So they moved to the square bottle for ease of transportation, for less damages, to make sure they got more bottles in a crate. It's really innovative. A great example of them always moving forward, always thinking ahead.
Huge volume of Johnnie Walker Black Label, over 60 million bottles that go around the world to various markets, out to Asia, to Singapore, to Hong Kong, Africa, Americas, all around the globe.
Container loading now for Hong Kong.
Hong Kong shipment away, thank you. Sometimes I have to, stop and double-check figures and think about that, the sheer size and scale of it, but it's massive. Being a Kilmarnock man, I'm so proud that, I'm part of the Johnnie Walker story. In Scotland, we're a very sharing nation, so we like to get our product out around the world.
Nearly 200 years of heritage, history, the craft of blending that we are now responsible for. It comes from across the four corners. It's intrinsically linked with the people and the places where it's made. And to see that all come together in the blend and then that to be shipped all around the world and enjoyed, it's heartwarming.
Encher uma garrafa de Old Age leva anos. Maltes raros envelhecidos 8 anos. Old Age. Beba com prazer. Sirva com orgulho.
If you're going to try, go all the way. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Do it all the way. There is no other feeling like that, and it will be better than anything else you can imagine. Go all the way. It's the only good fight there is.